Hi my friend, it's King Gabriel once again, and this is Impromptu video number 20. Today's topic is becoming the God that you are. And it's a controversial topic. Some may instantly lose interest because of the words involved, but whether or not it interests you, it does concern you. Why does it concern you? Because you're it. You're it, and you'll forever be it. From that standpoint, looking at things, I can pull out places where all these things are stated and open your eyes in different ways. Now, if you look at, for instance, Psalm 82:6, it says, I have said that you are gods and that you are children of the Most High, yet you will die like mere men. And you are gods. You are gods. Gods who use their powers in ways that they're not necessarily being aware of in each instant. The body is a tool. It's a tool that we use for communication with each other. It's a tool that we use for experience and for improving on experience. But the body is not a limit. It's just a tool. Right? Unless it's just a tool, it doesn't mean it's insignificant either. It just means that's its purpose. Its purpose is to be used for the fulfillment of a specific intention. That is why it exists. Understand that you cannot have anything that you are not. So when we start thinking of this topic of being a god or being God, the idea of that word itself, right? Now some would say you should not call God's name in vain. Just for the record, God's name is not God, right? God's name is your name, right? You're the expression of that. So don't worry about that for now. If you can, surpass that thinking for a second, okay? You cannot have anything that you are not. It stated that in order to see Him being God, you have to be like Him. The only way to be like anything is to acquire the vibration of that thing perfectly. And then it aligns and comes into manifest experience. So, in order to be or to see the face of God, as they say, you would have to be it. You would have to understand and embrace the fact that you are it. What has happened in the past is that through materialistic thinking, through seeing the world as solid and not understanding that energy is everything. Everything is interwoven with, filled with, totally filled to overflowing with the presence of that one, that people have started to look at the world as if it was totally based on matter and there had to be a controller of that matter outside of it. That's how the all-powerful God that came to be a king, ruler of all the world, right? All the worlds, the universe, and somewhere apart from us as well, because it couldn't be like us, couldn't be like the matter that it created. It was put off, far off, and in putting it far off, all the things that we once would have embraced and understood naturally were also put outside. They were put outside, and I'll show you how that really applies. If you think that God itself is good alone, then you're also saying that man, the creation of that, or the extension of that to be more accurate, is not. It is different. And this is what some of the teachings are based on, that man is impure and man strives to become pure, which is true to a certain degree because the ego is present. But the fundamental basis of man also is that anything man holds in consciousness, he can become. He can be like. He can eventually rise towards being perfectly. And so it requires that man holds goodness, that quality that he puts outside himself, in himself. So by putting God outside and far off, what has happened is man's thinking has become that he is bad, he is impure, he cannot at all embrace the fact that he is that. And if you were to mention to anyone that you are that, and they're in human consciousness, they would probably flip out and call you crazy, tell you, well, if you're God, go jump in front of a car and prove it. Prove it. Rise yourself from the dead if you're that. That's not the type of thinking that helps us forward. Not at all. That is thinking of one who is still limited to body thinking. Right? What happens to move us forward in terms of that topic is understanding that the presence that is indwelling, it's not personal, it's not a he or a she, right? Despite what people have said and how they understand the world, right? It's beyond duality. It's in, as, and through every single thing that exists. Every single thing, right? Because consciousness is being manifest. Everything is consciousness, awareness being manifest. The awareness part is the observation of consciousness, right? So awareness is necessary for consciousness to be present in the first place, and the awareness allows us to be able to look on consciousness, see what it does, and make changes in consciousness as well through awareness. Understanding that, we understand that to become this thing called God. As it says, I have said that you are gods and you are the children of the Most High. It says that in Psalm 82:6, if you look at it. That's said because we are. But it also says that yet you die like men. Why they say that also is because the thinking behind it is you're using your God power that you have to deny the power that you have, which is really, really ridiculous if we think about it for a second, but it's what's happening. Right? It's what's happening in human consciousness. A denial of the divine presence, a denial of divine consciousness, and a denial of love intelligence. So to bring it forward, to move forward from here, we have to understand that that idea of God being a king and far off is an idea that must die. It must leave. It must leave in order for us to advance, in order for us to embrace or even come close to embracing the idea that we ourselves have that indwelling presence. And everyone around us also has that indwelling presence. That is the only way that we can advance there. Now, those who try to push that far off and put it far off have often found themselves in cases where they themselves, the things that they condemn, for instance, they condemn things like same-sex relationships and gender, same-sex marriages and all that stuff. To be clear, I'll just say it as it is. And they also deny many other things along those lines that don't seem, well, to them it seems to make sense, but when you really look at it in the long run, they themselves commit the same acts that they push out. They push those acts out, and then they themselves commit those same acts. For instance, in the church, you'll see that the priests have, touched the little boys, and it caused a big problem. That didn't happen by some chance. Whatever they push out of their consciousness has to play off in them so that they can learn a level of forgiveness for that. And through that forgiveness, be able to embrace the whole, because the whole is the whole. The whole is not just parts, not the parts that you select, that you say this is reality and that is not. No. All of it is. If God is all giving, all love, then there is no discrimination in it. And some people will do things like put a little angry sign on this video because they believe in another thing. But if they are to examine their thoughts to a further degree, they will see that they themselves are perpetuating some kind of hate or animosity towards someone else, which is not love, which is not the God that they say they believe in. Right? So understand that being clear about this is understanding that to be it, we have to be it completely. Embrace it in consciousness, right? Accept that we are it, and move forward on that. That's the only place we can move forward from, right? God is impersonal. It is the indwelling presence in everyone and as everyone and everything. So yes, this topic really pertains to you in that when you really step into that vibration, you embrace that you are it, even though it might seem fearful at first because of all you've heard. Things in your life start to show you that that's true. You start to embrace that. You start to move forward in that. And then your life becomes an expression of that even further. You'll see material moving into your life, information moving into your life to support that thinking, to help you to grow, to help you to express further, to help you to help those who don't see it as yet as well. Right? It's necessary for all of us. So that's what I have to share with you today. I know this is a controversial topic, but allow yourself to think about it for a while. If you can, break out of that eggshell. Break out of that little box that they put you in one time and told you that that's the way it is. Understand that it must be fair. If you feel full resistance or anger, it must be fair. And it's sad to say this. I know that a lot of people will condemn it based on the scripture that they've read. But some of those things have fear in them as well. So, that's what I have to say to you. I hope that you're able to take this and move forward in life with it. Expand your consciousness, move out of human consciousness towards divine consciousness, and allow more of the source of being, the thing that is your essence, to flow into you and to become your life, so that you can express the words that help those around you as well. Eternal love and infinite peace.